come to order. May we have the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Favor, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember. City Council is excited to have one of our own back to pray with us. Monsignor Cody is here, and we are so happy to have him back. Monsignor.
Thank you, President Hardin. It's good to see you. Let us pray together. Gracious and loving God, be with Columbus City Council this evening. This beautiful, temperate, and sunny day is a harbinger of the season of spring, which we all await with happy anticipation. At the same time, Lord, our country looks forward to the COVID relief bill now in Congress, which will give blessed relief to so many of our citizens who've been brought low and desperate in the wake of this terrible pandemic. We're thankful for the coming of springtime, as well as the renewed spirit of hope that permeates these days in which vaccinations and relief from poverty and homelessness give us confidence that there are better days ahead. We give you thanks for all of your blessings and the love you share with all humankind. May this love give impetus to our love for all people, our brothers and sisters, who look to you and ask you to help them to be able to be faithful to you and to our brothers and sisters. And we ask all of this. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Monsignor Cody. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This week's communications received by the City Clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the City Bulletin. Are there any other communication to be read into the record?
Not at this time.
Are there any resolutions by members of council, starting with the President Pro Tem, or announcements?
None from me.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Mitch Brown.
Nothing this evening, sir.
Councilmember Dorrance.
Nothing from me either. Thank you.
Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Council President Hardin. Tonight, I have Resolution 39X-2021 to recognize March 8th, 2021 as International Women's Day. This year's theme is Choose to Challenge. International Women's Day is renowned for recognizing the social, economic, and political barriers that have been overcome by women all around the world. It's also distinguished for raising awareness against bias, taking action for equality, and ultimately creating a balanced world which is better for us all. Women's access to education, healthcare, and paid labor has improved over the years. Moreover, legislation promising equal opportunities for women and respect for their basic human rights has been adopted by many countries around the globe. It is important to celebrate the progress that women have made, but it's also imperative to keep the light shining upon the areas for which more movement and progress is needed, as well as to identify solutions and innovative challenges to achieve the goal of equality for women. I am honored to serve on this council with incredible women like Council President Pro Tem Elizabeth Brown and Councilmember Priscilla Tyson, who both step up to the challenge of leadership every day through their work that protects and uplifts women and families in our community. I'd also like to recognize and uplift all of the women directors in the city of Columbus who do incredible work to serve our residents on the daily. Director Gallagher, Director William Scott, Director Davies, Director Stallings Johnson, Director Brandon, Director DeLong, and Health Commissioner Roberts. As a proud member of the Columbus Women's Commission, who works to advance the economic well-being of women in our community by directly influencing policies and procedure to make big change happen in Columbus, I am happy to introduce Jillian Olinger, Commission Member and Chief Mission Officer with the YWCA Columbus, to accept tonight's resolution. Jillian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council Member and fellow Commissioner Favor, Council President Hardin, Council President Pro Tem Brown, and all of City Council for the recognition of International Women's Day and of the work of the Columbus Women's Commission. We also commend Council for your work in our community to address gender and racial inequities through your work on housing, workforce development, childcare, and health. We all recognize the pandemic has impacted our community, in particular the catastrophic impact it has had on women and families around the world and here in Central Ohio. These impacts are not just workforce related, but also felt on the home front with the stress of the gender double shift and in mental health and well-being. And the impact is felt most by Black women and Latinas. Data shows there were 2.1 million fewer women in the labor force in December than there were in February 2020, before the pandemic started. And perhaps like no time before in a generation has the world had to recognize just how essential women are. In this troubling reality of gendered and racialized negative impacts of this pandemic, as a community, we are fortunate to have a commission exclusively focused on raising awareness of racial and gender disparities in workforce development, health, housing, and more, and in dismantling barriers to improve the economic position of women in our community. The Columbus Women's Commission is an advisory body to Mayor Andrew J. Ginther, working to advance the economic well-being of women in our community. And this diverse 18-member commission, chaired by First Lady Shannon Ginther, is composed of passionate experts who bring diverse life experiences, stories, and perspectives to guide our strategy. As we turn our attention to what recovery from this pandemic and the resulting SHE session could look like, the Commission is focused on the following: addressing the critical need for quality childcare so women can return to the workforce, working with local employers to address wage inequity and create policies that retain women in the workforce, partnering to address the eviction and housing crisis that disproportionately impacts women and women of color in our community, and addressing financial empowerment, a bedrock to economic security. On behalf of the Women's Commission, thank you for your efforts, and we look forward to the continued partnership as we strive to advance the economic well-being of all women in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any comments on behalf of my colleagues? And with that, I would move for adoption.
Councilmember, just wanted to say I'd be remiss not to join you in honoring honoring this resolution. Thank you so much for specifically calling the names of all the strong women that we work with in the administration and on council. Our policy is made better, which means our city is made better because of all the work of the strong women. So look forward to supporting this resolution.
Councilmember Tyson?
Thank you, Councilwoman Favor, for this resolution. It is so important that we're recognizing International Women's Day and the work that women are certainly doing within the administration, our city, and recognizing the work of the YWCA. I also want to recognize Miss Maureen Stapleton from the Celebrate One. That her work that she's doing also within the administration to help move women forward. So thank you very much for this resolution. It's so important to and thank you for your work on the Women's Commission and moving women forward. Thank you.
Council member,
Yes, ma'am.
I will just quickly add my thank you for bringing forward the resolution. And I want to call out two of our partners on the Columbus City Schools that have joined us that are strong women, Dr. Talisa Dixon and school board member Ramona Reyes. Dr. Dixon, there was a really powerful piece in the dispatch about your journey recently. And I am reminded of really the theme of International Women's Day and what women in our community are doing every day. And school board member Reyes, I know we're not supposed to acknowledge the dual hats formally, but truly your work for women every day and what you do at Guadalupe Center is also deeply appreciated. So thank you, Councilmember Favor, for bringing forward. Oh, and School Board President Adair. I'm sorry, my tiles don't always work. School Board President Adair, I also want to recognize. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Councilmember Brown and Tyson, and especially for uplifting a few of the dynamic members of the Columbus School Board who work tirelessly on behalf of our students every single day. And with that, I move for adoption.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Adopted.
Thank you. That is all I have this evening, Council President Harden.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Remy.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden. I have, let me see, did I unmute? Yeah, I did. Okay. Just had to make sure. I have two announcements and one resolution this evening. A reminder that I will be hosting a virtual public hearing to review the City of Columbus Climate Action Plan tomorrow, March 9th at 5 p.m. It will be streamed live on Facebook, YouTube, and through CTV. If you would like to provide written testimony or sign up to speak at the hearing, please email my legislative assistant, Lucy Frank, at ljfrank@columbus.gov by noon tomorrow with your name, address, and topic of testimony. Next week, I will also host virtual community hours on Tuesday, March 16th from 4 to 5:30. To RSVP for the Zoom login information, again, please email my legislative assistant, Lucy Frank, at ljfrank@columbus.gov by noon on the 16th with your name, address, and topic of discussion. Tonight, I am honored to bring forward Ordinance number 40X 2021 to urge the Ohio General Assembly to enact House Bill 67 to ensure students will not be penalized by state assessments and kept from graduating high school during the year 2020 and 2021 of the school year. Columbus City Council continues to support Columbus City Schools and the district's efforts to deliver the educational programs and services to the school children of the district. The state of Ohio requires annual statewide standardized testing in accordance with federal mandates. The COVID-19 pandemic has created instructional challenges and forced CCS educators and staff to quickly adapt to new practices during the 2020 and 2021 school year. The administration of standardized tests may create additional unnecessary health risks and challenges to some students. The CCS district and its educators already conduct formative assessments that during a pandemic are far more helpful and accurate in addressing student needs. The results of the statewide mandated standardized testing will not be known until after the school year has ended and will be of little assistance to students or CCS districts' needs to address any disrupted learning opportunities its students may face this school year. Education professionals in the CCS district and formative assessments are best able to assess those COVID-19 related needs. Columbus City Council supports the efforts of the CCS district to ensure every CCS district student is able to succeed. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that Columbus City Council urges the Ohio General Assembly to enact House Bill 67 so that Columbus City School students and students across Ohio not be penalized by their inability to participate in state assessments and meeting requirements for graduation. Given the challenges of the past 2 school years, those students who have met or who are on track to meet the curricular requirements for graduation during these trying times be permitted to graduate this school year, provided the principal, teachers, and counselor of each student believe they are prepared to do so. Essentially, we're asking to support that the same legislation that was passed last year, except this year we've almost had an entire year of remote learning. So it's my pleasure this evening to welcome Columbus Board of Education President Jennifer Adair, Vice President Ramona Reyes, Superintendent Dr. Talisa Dixon, and Dr. Eric Roush, the Director of Policy and Government for Columbus City Schools. President Adair, I know you sponsored a similar resolution last week during the Board of Education meeting. So I thought I would ask why this resolution and why are you asking us to consider this to support Columbus City Schools seniors who will graduate this year?
Thank you so much to Council President Hardin, Councilmember Remy, and all the members of Council. You know, it is so critical that we stand behind our students as a community. Remember that this is the class that left their junior year and is now just about to go back in to finish up a senior year. And it's just so critical that we continue to support them. Now, this piece of legislation that we passed and we're asking you to support because we believe that we are stronger together, standing for our students as sister government, fighting for them. You know, it doesn't stop formative assessment. And I think you said it very well, Councilmember Remy. And in the resolution, our teachers, our counselors, our principals, they know where our students are. They know that they're doing the work and they know that they're passing the standards. We have a Board of Education that right now has a legislative agenda that is really looking at what are these assessments do and not do for our students. And we just think it's a critical time right now that, you know, having our students be given grace, that's a word we've adopted this year in COVID, this idea of grace, really is better for them, and letting the work that they've done and all of the other standards that they are meeting to pass really stand in the place of these tests, which we will not get results of until after the school year. And, you know, it is so important, like I said, that we as Columbus as a whole, as a community, really stand together in this time. We know that pieces of this legislation passed the House and it now sits with the Senate, and we asked them to get that emergency legislation language in there so that it can take effect immediately. You know, we are in a critical time for our students. We're excited that we're going to get them back, which I know the superintendent will be talking about shortly. But we want to make sure that they just have every bit of help and grace that we can give them as a community to support them in their graduation so that we can build a great workforce and productive citizens for the future of Columbus. So I just wanted to thank you, Councilmember Remy, for bringing this piece of legislation that mirrors ours, thanking the rest of council members for your anticipated support of the resolution, because, you know, we really believe that as sister government, we can stand stronger together. Thank you so much, Councilmember Remy, for giving me an opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you so much, President Adair. Vice President Reyes, somewhat related, I know the district that you're urging has been regularly reaching out to students during the pandemic to check on them via telephone. And I believe this Wednesday there's an effort to call all high school seniors. Can you tell us how we and those at home listening can help in this effort?
Yes. So again, thank you, Council President Hardin, all council members and Council Member Remy for your support tonight. For our Columbus City high school seniors, we are down to the final months leading up to graduation. So we want to encourage each and every senior to finish strong, but we need our community's help. So we need volunteers for our next We Care Wednesday, which is March 10th from 4 to 7 p.m., where we will ask people to call and check in and connect with our families of all of our 12th graders. Our high school teachers, counselors, administrators, and community partners have been doing an amazing job of supporting our seniors this school year. But with your help, we can add to those efforts by making sure families are staying connected and that we are providing them with the support and additional information on their graduation plan. We have resources to share with our parents that will help our seniors get to and through graduation. So we're asking our community, if you'd like to volunteer for this critically important effort, to please call our engagement team at 614-365-8868. So again, 614-365-8868. And again, we thank you for the support for our children today.
Thank you, Vice President Reyes. That's a very worthy cause, and I hope people take note of that and give a call in to help this Wednesday. Finally, Dr. Dixon, could you provide an overview of Columbus City Council's in-person learning? I know my wife went back to school, or went back to teaching in the classroom today, and I believe our older middle schoolers and high school students will begin this next week.
Yes, so thank you, Council President Hardin and Councilmember Remy and the rest of the council members for this opportunity. We have 24,000 students that are back in session, and we're just so happy we were able to bring our students back in a phased approach beginning February 1st. And now we are ready for our 6th through 12th graders to come back, and they start next Monday. So Monday, February 15th, we will have our 6th graders back, along with our juniors and seniors. And then the following week, the remainder of our students will be back. And we're so happy. They haven't been with us in almost a year. If you think about it, it was a year this time last year. And so thank you for supporting this resolution. We know it is the right thing to support. We know that we have to, this is the main reason why we need report card reform. There's too much emphasis on standardized testing. And so we have to really get ready for some other conversations about reforming that report card. But in the interim, we are going to thank you for supporting us in waiving these tests, these standardized tests for our students. Our students, these are our students who have finished their coursework. So I want to make that clear. As you stated in your resolution, these students have finished their coursework, but for some reason they can't get over a hump with that test. So they have met their qualifications to graduate. So thank you so much. This has been a trying time for our students and our Columbus community. We are so happy about the partnership that we have with our city. And that is so critical in all of this work. It's the power of the partnership. People working together to make sure that our students and their families have what they need during this pandemic. So thank you so much to the council for supporting us providing ongoing support for our students and our families, and partnering with us to help us make sure that our students reach their full potential. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dixon. We appreciate all the work and effort that you put in during this pandemic. And thank you to the school board. It's a great partnership. Dr. Roush, thank you for all of your work with the General Assembly on behalf of Columbus City Schools, especially our high school seniors, with regard to this issue. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Through the list. Doesn't look like it. If not, I move for adoption.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Hart.
Resolution is adopted.
Thank you so much, Council President Harden. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Thank you to our amazing CCS. Councilmember Tyson.
Thank you, President Harden. And I don't have a resolution today. I just have a number of announcements. And so again, I want to thank Councilmember Favor for recognizing International Women's Day. And the theme, of course, was choose to challenge. And we know that a challenged world is an alert world, and that from challenge comes change. And so March is Women's History Month and a time to celebrate the achievement of women, raise awareness against bias, and take action for equality, and we will say equity, recognizing the contributions of women who have chosen to challenge and change America. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, the first African-American woman physician in the United States, did just that. Because we continue to talk about all the disparities in the era of COVID, it is important to mention her. She was born February the 8th in 1831 in Delaware, and she grew up in Pennsylvania. In 1952, she moved to Charlestown, Massachusetts, and worked as a nurse. In 1860, she took the bold step of applying to medical school and was accepted into the New England Female Medical College. The New England Female Medical College, which began accepting women in 1848, was derided by male physicians who complained that women lacked the physical strength to practice medicine. Others insisted that not only were women incapable of mastering a medical curriculum, and that many of the topics taught were inappropriate for their sensitive and delicate nature. Unfortunately, the founders ignored these false claims and organized a school anyway. Because of this, in 1864, Rebecca became the New England Female Medical College's only African-American graduate. And there are a few statistics about her remarkable achievement and perspective. In 1860, there were only 300 women out of 54,543 physicians in the United States. 300 women, and none of them were African American. As late as 1920, there were only 65 African American women doctors in the United States. So it should be noted that Rebecca was also one of the first female physician authors in the 19th century. In 1888, she published a book of medical discourses dedicated to nurses and mothers. The book focuses on maternal and pediatric medical care and was among the first publications written by an African American about medicine. Rebecca, in the spirit of International Women's Day 2021, the theme, Choose to Challenge, broke through a glass ceiling that inspired a generational change. She passed away on March 9th of 1895. On Sunday, March the 28th at 4 p.m., the Links Incorporated Columbus chapter will be hosting a COVID-19 virtual town hall. It is Make It Plain and Simple, Overcoming COVID, Vaccine Hesitancy. It's sponsored by Columbus City Schools, the City of Columbus, the National Medical Association, and NAMI Franklin County. It will be moderated by Dr. Reversa Joseph and Dr. Gloria Fleming. The panelists will include Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, who's the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Dr. Leon McDougall, who's a national president of the National Medical Association, Dr. Mashika Roberts, our health commissioner from Columbus Public Health, and Rachel Martin, executive director of the National Alliance of Mental Illness in Franklin County. And during this town hall, we'll discuss the vaccines, how they were developed. They will do the facts, debunk, and the myths, the planned phases of the rollout, and how to address mental health effects of COVID in the Black community and the rise of opioid use seen during the pandemic, and then community questions and concerns. To be able, again, it will be on February the 28th, and we go to Eventbrite to sign up. And it's again, Eventbrite COVID-19 virtual town hall for that particular date. I also, President Harden, just want to mention that, again, the free COVID-19 clinic, I know you attended one of them at Columbus Public Health. It's Friday, this Friday, March the 12th, from 1 to 4 at Columbus Public Health. You can dial for an appointment the number 614-645-6444 or health@columbus.gov. And again, these will be our opportunity neighborhoods. So we would ask that if you happen to live in 43203, 456, 11, 22, 23, 24, 27, and 29. Also, in terms of COVID, just today, the governor, which I'm excited about, announced that he is opening up another cohort to be vaccinated, and it's called Phase 2B. It will see Ohioans 50 years and older for vaccines, and it will begin this Thursday. And also, he added another phase, Phase 1D, which will start on Thursday, which are Ohioans that have type 2 diabetes and end-stage renal disease. I think that this will also, by having this age group and those two particular medical conditions, you will begin to see more diverse groups of people being able to have access to vaccines, especially moving it to age 50. I also want to thank the advocacy of Dr. Mashika Roberts. My next announcement is, as I've said, a lot has been going on in regards to COVID, but here's another issue and concern that's happening. And I want to take a few moments just to discuss identity theft and the fraud that is taking place in Central Ohio and around the nation in respect to unemployment benefits. Identity theft is widespread, but many Ohioans have become victims, and their identities have been used to file fraudulent unemployment claims in both the traditional unemployment and the pandemic unemployment assistance programs. The Ohio Department of Job and Family Services is asking that if you feel that you have been affected by unemployment fraud, to please either dial 1-833-658-0394. Again, 833-658-0394 from 8 to 5, or you can go to unemploymenthealth.ohio.gov and then look for identity theft. It is a significant problem that's going on in our state as around the country. And lastly, Primary One Health Special Enrollment Period. If you do not have insurance, please, medical insurance, you can now apply for it through Primary One. There's a special enrollment period from February the 15th through May the 15th. It's called COVID-19 Emergency Insurance. And Primary One certified application counselors can assist you to be able to get insurance. And the phone number to apply for this medical insurance is 614-620-8088. 614-620-8088. Thank you, President Harden.
Of course, thank you, Councilmember Tyson. Thank you to all my colleagues for those announcements. As I do each week, I'd like to provide the most recent vaccination distribution numbers. Columbus Public Health has distributed more than 50,000 doses of the vaccine, approximately 30,000 first doses, and another 20,000 second doses. But some more exciting news that in Franklin County, nearly 200,000 total shots have been distributed in total. So at this point, that's just shy of 15% of our county's population has received at least one shot. So we are on our way. So let's just keep it up. And as Councilmember Tyson stated, this Thursday, 50 and up, we'll be able to schedule. That's a really big deal, and would really encourage folks to take advantage of that. Are there any comments from our elected officials, city auditor, city attorney? I don't think we have any court folks here today. Seeing none, are there any requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution from the consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we have a motion to waive reading of the titles of 30-day legislation by the clerk?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record the titles of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda for first reading?
Public Utilities Committee, Ordinances 223, 419, 457, and 475-2021. Technology Committee, Ordinances 463 and 558-2021. Public Service and Transportation Committee, Resolution 33X-2021. Economic Development Committee, Ordinances 410, 439, and 520-2021.
There are no speakers on the first reading portion of the agenda. The following ordinance now appear on our agenda as consent action. Will the clerk now read these ordinances into the record, please?
Resolutions of Expression 37X-2021, Finance Committee, Ordinance 2994-2020, and Ordinances 429, 470, 491, 516, 517, 554-2021. Recreation and Parks Committee, Ordinances 243, 326, and 328-2021. Public Safety Committee, Ordinances 420 and 428-2021. Public Utilities Committee, Ordinances 107, 311-2021. Public Service and Transportation Committee, Ordinances 394, 401, 406, 545, 565-2021. Housing Committee, Ordinances 173, 459, 478, 479, 480, 481, and 539-2021. Criminal Justice and Judiciary Committee, Ordinance 471 and 493-2021. Economic Development Committee, Ordinances 355, 505, 508, 509, and 510-2021. Health and Human Services Committee, Ordinance 430-2021. And we have appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A0029, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60-2021.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have one speaker on the consent portion of the agenda, but speaking on two our ordinances or appointments. Would you, is Miss Kathleen Bailey, Chair Bailey, with us?
Yes.
Chair, welcome to council. Welcome back to council.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm going, Chair, what I would ask is if you, since they're kind of, I think, on similar topics, you can either use 6 minutes or just do your, speak on both resolutions before I ask for a comment either by colleagues or the administration into the attorney's office. Is that okay?
Yes, that would be fine.
All right. The floor is yours, Madam Chair.
All right. As you know, I have been at this a long time, and I'm here this evening with a very heavy heart. We just finished a very successful election in terms of how it was run by the Near East Area Commission. Our city liaison did a very fine job in helping us set it up. But I must declare to you and to the mayor that I do not consider this a clean election. I'm no longer angry. I'm just deeply hurt and distraught because what we experienced this year, I've never experienced before. I don't think it has ever happened to NEAC since 1979. The only words I can say are subterfuge. What we had was some people put together a group. They would not identify themselves individually, but they used the Near East Area Commission's name to set up a website. They called it NEACelections.com, and they used that website to support the candidates that they wanted. It caused some confusion. I was working at the election. on the day we had it, and one of the voters came in and said, "Why do you have all these people on the ballot, but you don't have them all on your website?" And I said, "What website?" So I had our liaison take a look at it, and he said, "This isn't anything that we put together." So these people decided to use our name, but again, they refused to identify themselves. And they also introduced very negative campaigning. They called one of the gentlemen who was running, Commissioner Willis Brown. They said they put a very ugly things out about him, that he was nothing but a rubber stamper. I have known him for over 20 years. We have not seen eye to eye at all times, and I'm sure he's been down. You all know him coming down to our city council. If anybody is known for asking questions and challenging, he certainly is. There was an ugly campaign. There was sabotage. It was nothing that we did, but it hurt. And it has, I've had people now coming up to me asking me what's wrong with NEAC, et cetera, et cetera. So it has hurt us terribly. I am calling this is not a clean election. And someone said, "Well, can you improve your process?" I said, "Improve what process? We have an excellent process for running an election. Other commissions have asked us to give them our notes on how they can do theirs. But how do you plan for sabotage? How do you plan for negativity? How do you plan for underhanded things?" So I'm afraid that Washington, D.C. politics has now entered our commissions, and it hurts because we've worked hard and long. And as I've told everyone, an organization is only known by the people who are in it. And if we start getting the reputation for duplicity, for not being straight up about things, it's going to hurt us because we have been known for our integrity. When we come down and tell you we voted for this or we didn't vote for that, we have gone through the process. And this has hurt. I'm deeply hurt, especially at a time when we're experiencing a renaissance in the Near East Side. We have young people. I am a senior citizen myself, but I know I'm not going to be on this earth forever. And I'm excited about young people coming over, young families, singles. And we're seeing the types of, and what we're trying to do is expand the type of living arrangements that we have so people can come to our neighborhood. We need more apartments. We need affordable housing. We need a variety of sizes of homes. And this is no way hurts what we have already, the larger homes, the historic homes we have. But I think some people don't like that. And I think that they've come up with this, it was ugly. It was very ugly. And I'm still upset about it. That a person I've known for so long has had their integrity questions. And now people are starting to question our integrity. So I just want to let you know, whatever you do this night, I am telling you now that the Near East Area Commission's election, even though we ran it by our bylaws and ran it by law because of outside intervention, it is a clouded, dirty election. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for coming and speaking on these appointments. I know that in the subsequent weeks since the vote, both the Department of Neighborhoods as well as the City Attorney's Office have been engaged, and so for the benefit of my colleagues, would turn things over to them to give us some context and feedback as we move forward. Starting with Director William Scott.
Thank you, President Hart and members of council. Yes, there was some concern regarding the campaigning. I guess I'll use the term for the election. And there was a group of individuals that were running that developed campaign material and did not include some of the all of the members. Not sure that's any different than any other type of campaign. But the process that NEAC held was open. It was focused, and I'll just give you a really quick overview of what they did. And it started back on December 28th. We had asked area commissions if they were able to hold their elections prior to the end of 2020. Normally, NEAC holds their elections in June of every year, but due to COVID, several of the area commissions postponed them and waited until the fall. On December 28th, NEAC hosted a special meeting to announce and approve their election results before the end of the year. There was an official challenge during the election by two candidates and sitting commissioners, Mr. Willis Brown and Mr. Dana Messner. The challenge was not in regards to the election results or the vote count. They challenged a proposed procedural infraction. And I think we shared that letter from those two individuals with council. On December 31st, NEAC hosted a community meeting to announce the next steps regarding their election challenge. They created a special elections committee consisting of active at-large commissioners and community members to review the allegations. And then on January 28th, NEAC Special Elections Committee hosted a meeting to hear the formal election challenges from Mr. Brown and Mr. Messner. Aaron Blevins, Eric Hutchins, and Sierra Swanson, all three who were elected to the commission seats in December, were also given time to address the committee since their names were mentioned during the discussion about the challenge website and flyer. Assistant General Counsel Robert Tobias, in his role as a representative of the City Attorney's Office, attended the meeting and provided insight and guidance to the committee during this discussion. After a lengthy discussion, the Elections Committee of NEAC voted to deny the challenge because there was no infraction to any of the election rules as stated by NEAC's bylaws. NEAC's bylaws allows challengers the opportunity to appeal their decision of the Election Commission to the full commission, and next steps would be to go to come to council. And so that is where we are this evening, and that's all I have is to kind of summarize the process, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I'm going to kick it over to the City Attorney's Office just to give any additional context, and then see if any colleagues have questions for the two of you.
Thank you, President Hardin, members of council. As Director William Scott stated, a member of our office, Robert Tobias, participated in the hearings related to the appeals that Director William Scott mentioned. It would be our opinion that the concerns about the tactics during the election with regard to campaigning and the website are not reasons under the Area Commission's bylaws to invalidate the election or the result. So unfortunately, there is no authority under the Commission's bylaws to invalidate or undo the election on that basis. And there's no additional grounds in the appeal to council stated beyond what are in the bylaws of the Area Commission. So our position would be that due process has been afforded to those who filed the appeal and the challenge, and they were heard by the committee and by the full commission. So I'm available for any questions that council members have.
Thank you, City Attorney, and thank you, Director. Council members. Councilmember Tyson.
Yes, I have a question. So I understand that the elections, once the election took place and the elections were done in the appropriate fashion, it just appears that that, if I'm hearing this right, is that a group of individuals who are running for office, they created a website that said NEAC elections. So it was somewhat confusing for the community because they used the terminology NEACelections.com, that it appeared that it was NEAC that had the names of these individuals. Is that what I'm not sure I'm clear about this. So they had a slate of individuals on a website that said NEAC elections. Is that?
Councilmember Tyson, I believe you are correct. I did not personally see the website by the time the election had taken place. Once the election was completed, the website came down. And so I didn't hear about it until after the election. But it would, but yes, that's correct. That's correct.
So it could have given the appearance that this was NEAC's website. I'm just trying to understand. So, or else
It could have, but there it could have. However, at the campaign, we held the elections in COVID-friendly environment at the Near East Pride Center, and all of the information for all of the candidates was available. All of the candidates were on the ballot, and it would be, no different than if in a regular election, if there are candidates that are not endorsed by a certain group, there's a flyer with just those candidates on there. And so this group actually campaigned and made material with the candidates that they endorsed. Right or wrong, but that's kind of how it ended up.
Okay, so, all right, I understand. And so I could understand how people, I mean, like she said, some people's feelings could be hurt because someone used, it could be like using Columbus City Council, and here it would be like saying Columbus City Council, or you're the endorsed candidates or something, and somebody puts their names down there and people can vote. So it could give the appearance that these were NEAC supported people or whatever the case may be. So, all right, it's just an interesting strategy. And so I think that's what has created the concerns that Ms. Bailey has shared this evening. So I think I understand now. But everyone had a chance to vote. And was all the votes, was it done online? Director Scott, was it done online, or how was it done?
It was held in person at the Near East Pride Center. And I know my liaison was there, Commissioner Bailey, and another one of my team members were there. And I think Commissioner Ross Womack, who is the elections chair for NEAC. And they, only allowed like a certain number of people in to keep the social distancing because the room is not that large. But we were able to hold it in the Pride Center because they did it in the wintertime. And so we didn't want people to be outside. And we didn't want people, if they didn't have access to the internet, to not be able to vote.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Council President Harden.
Mm-hmm.
Director William Scott, wondering if a list of the candidates were provided on NEAC's official website within a sufficient amount of time prior to the election, and if the date of the election was also out there in the community, so this wasn't a surprise to folks.
That's correct. And Chair Bailey, if you're still on, I don't know if you want to respond to that. I know that they did publicize the election at their meeting by law. They do list it on their website. It might have also been listed on the Department of Neighborhood's website as well.
Yes, we did that, and our liaison was fantastic. He helped us get the information out. Again, the issue was if anybody wants to support a candidate, that's not a problem. The issue is when you do it in using somebody else's name. And it did confuse some of the voters. They didn't understand why we have these people on the ballot, but I don't see them on your website. And one other thing, I've worked at Franklin County Board of Elections for 25 years. I mean, I'm not full time. I mean, doing the elections. And one thing they drilled into us that whoever runs the election has to be neutral. So there would be no way we would be handing out information on the candidates. That's up to them to do that, to get their information out there. But we didn't provide any information at the election day on anybody. The same way Franklin County Board of Election, if you want to know who's running, you have to get your information from the people standing out in the parking lot, or maybe you can get it from another voter. But so we maintained 100% neutrality in when we ran the election.
Director, do you, I know it's a little too early to really have worked through all of this since the results were just certified just a few weeks ago, but do you believe that this presents an opportunity to implement something citywide that would prohibit any type of situation like this? And I say that with the caveat that this sounds like a campaign tactic. and whether or not you agree with the tactic, it nevertheless is a tactic. But just wondering, since you're intimately involved with the details, do you think that this is something that needs to be addressed citywide with all of our commissions?
It could be. I don't know that it's an issue outside of this particular election. I think there are some things that we are trying to look at, Councilmember Favor, and just giving commissions guidance. All of the area commissions have their election process spelled out in their bylaws, and anybody that wants to run for one of the commission seats, they receive an election packet with all of that information in there. And so it explains what they can and can't do. I don't think we go so far as to tell them how to campaign. And I'm not sure if that's a space we want to enter. Maybe my friends in the city attorney's office can weigh in. But they all do have something that spells out how they run. And we do make sure each of the neighborhood liaisons walks through that with them prior to their elections when they're distributing their candidate packets.
Thank you, Director.
Director, but I think what was interesting to me is that everyone had to come there to vote. So they still had a choice of all the candidates that were on the ballot that day. Is that correct?
Yes, Council Member, that's correct.
Okay. So it would have been maybe different if they were voting, by mail or some other ways, but they had to physically come there and vote.
That is correct.
Right. Thank you.
And and you're correct, all of the candidates were listed on the official ballot.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, the last thing that I would say on this is that we just got to remember that area commissioners are volunteers who step up in their communities to serve. And so we are going to work with this area commission and the commissioners, and we will work with former commissioners Messer and Commissioner Willis Brown as well in other capacities, and we appreciate their service. So are there any other comments or questions regarding the entire consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, I move for passage by voice vote.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll by voice.
Ms. Brown?
Yes, with the exception of, gotta get my number correct here. I think it's 0058 2021.
Yes.
Thank you. On which I'm abstaining.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorrance?
Yes.
Ms. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Tyson?
Yes, with the exception of 493-2021, on which I am abstaining. Thank you.
And President Hardin?
Yes, ordinances are passed with notable abstentions. The first committee to come before council is the Public Safety Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Mitch Brown. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight in Public Safety, I have Ordinance 0184-2021 to authorize the Director of Public Safety to accept a $1,200,000 comprehensive opioid stimulant and substance abuse site-based program grant award from the United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance, to authorize the appropriation of $1.2 million from the unappropriated balance of the General Government Grants Fund 2220 to authorize the Director of Public Safety to enter into a $630,795 contract with Franklin County Family and Children First Council for multi-sector family case management and trauma recovery services. To authorize the Director of Public Safety to enter into a $60,000 contract with Mighty Crow, Inc. for continued REACT evaluation, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of City Code, and to declare an emergency. This evening, I have also Fire Captain Matt Parrish, who's here to speak to this ordinance. Captain Parrish?
Thank you, Safety Chair Brown, Council President Harden, members of council. On behalf of Fire Chief Happ and Safety Director Pettis, I'm honored to speak in support of this legislation, which will provide funding that supports the REACT program for the next 3 years. I'm most excited about the continued partnership with Franklin County Family Children's First Council, which includes providing the Building Better Lives training to our first responders. This training teaches us about the impact of ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences, and teaches the neurosequential response to stress model from a trauma-informed lens. This training will make us better as first responders and allows us to better serve our residents. I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you for supporting this legislation.
Captain Parrish, would you elaborate once more again about what REACT does?
Yes, sir. So REACT is our co-responder team that has been working to combat the opioid epidemic. It includes our paramedics, our CIT trained police officers, and the clinicians from Franklin County Family Children's First Council, Southeast, Primary One, and COAAA. So they follow up on non-fatal overdoses in the community and link the survivors with resources for treatment, for addiction, and for mental health.
Are there any questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Parrish. Also, we are huge fans of REACT, and Councilmember Remy and I were out last week to be a part of that training that you were just speaking of. So we greatly appreciate it. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you, Council President. Also, I have Ordinance 0433-2020 to authorize and direct the Director of Public Safety to renew the contract with LexisNexis Risk Solutions, Inc., to waive the competitive bidding requirements of City Code, to authorize the expenditure of $140,855 from the Law Enforcement Contraband Seizure Fund, and to declare an emergency. Also present this evening is Deputy Director Bob Stewart, who can speak to the issue as to why we're doing competitive bidding, waiving competitive bidding. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, President Harden, President Pro Tem Elizabeth Brown, council members, and Safety Chair Brown. Essentially, LexisNexis is an information gathering service the Division of Police has used for quite some time. This system provides information to not just the city of Columbus, but other law enforcement entities throughout Central Ohio and across the state. The types of information provided by this system is information involving suspects and crime data. Investigators and crime analysts use this information in order to put together maps involving crime trends. The cost of the cost to change systems would be cost prohibitive, in that moving to a new system would require the division to retrain all police personnel of all shifts and make it manifestly impractical to bid out these services. Like I indicated before, it's really just an information gathering system, and a system that is shared and has been shared for many years for law enforcement in Central Ohio.
If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage. LexisNexis, again, as you heard from Mr. Stewart, has been a program that has been involved with the Columbus Police Division for quite some time. And again, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
President Harden, that's all I have this evening, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Public Utilities Committee, chaired by Councilmember Dorans. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. It's a short night in the Public Utilities Committee. We have one ordinance, and that's number 02990, 2021 to authorize the Finance and Management Director to associate all general budget reservations resulting from this ordinance with the appropriate universal term contract purchase agreements for the purchase of materials, supplies, and services for the Division of Water, Distribution Maintenance Section, and to authorize the expenditure of $1,225,000 from the Water Operating Fund. The supplies purchased from these contracts will be used to replenish materials used for our daily water line operations and projects associated with the Department of Public Utilities. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. That's all I have tonight.
That was speedy.
I told you.
The next committee to come before council is the Public Service and Transportation Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Favor. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Harden. Tonight in Public Service and Transportation, we have Ordinance 274-2021 to amend the 2020 capital improvements budget, to transfer appropriation between divisions within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with G&G Concrete Construction for the resurfacing 2020 rehabilitation project, to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,347,916.27 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund for the resurfacing 2020 rehabilitation project, and to declare an emergency. This contract includes potentially repairing 11 concrete city streets and 17 brick city streets. The work consists of repairing and replacing concrete slabs, sawing and sealing concrete joints, repairing and replacing brick bases and surface courses, the repair of designated brick crosswalks, and other work as may be necessary. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Up next, we have Ordinance 432-2021 to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to associate all general budget reservations resulting from this ordinance with the appropriate universal term contract purchase agreement for pavement materials and aggregates, and to authorize the expenditure of $600,000 from the Street Construction Maintenance and Repair Fund, and to authorize the expenditure of $600,000 from the Municipal Motor Vehicle Tax Fund, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance allows the Director of Finance and Management to set up a universal term contract purchase for the following materials: asphalt emulsions, Portland cement, ready mixed concrete, sand, various forms of asphalt concrete, crushed limestone and gravel, and winter asphalt. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
And last but certainly not least, we have Ordinance 444-2021 to adopt the Vision Zero Columbus Action Plan 1.0, as described herein, as the primary framework for reducing traffic deaths and serious injuries to zero, to authorize the Director of Public Service on behalf of the City of Columbus to prepare and submit applications for grant opportunities, accept and expend grant funds, and to issue refunds if necessary after final accounting is performed. I am happy to advance this ordinance tonight in support of the Vision Zero Action Plan, and I apologize for my dog. Far too many incidents are occurring on our city streets where people are seriously injured or even worse, end in fatality. We must do everything we can to protect human life, and our city's traffic and street infrastructure is an extremely important part of this work. I'd like to introduce Director Gallagher and Maria Cantrell with the Department of Public Service to talk more about the Vision Zero Action Plan and process. Ladies, the floor is yours.
Well, good evening, President Harden. Plan 1.0 marks a modern approaches to engineering, education, evaluation, and community engagement. Protecting lives on our transportation system is the #1 priority of Vision Zero Columbus. Our goal is to end all deaths and serious injuries from crashes on city streets by 2035. It is a bold goal and necessary. Crash fatalities in our community have continued to steadily increase. More than 50 lives are lost each year. Families are deeply hurt when their loved ones don't return home. Our first Vision Zero Columbus Action Plan lays out achievable strategies to make our streets safer for all users. pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, and transit users. We began this purposeful journey more than a year ago when Mayor Ginther challenged us to implement Vision Zero Columbus. We officially launched the effort last March 12th. Right away, we faced a unique challenge. COVID-19 arrived and forced us to turn to virtual planning and engagement. Yet we stayed laser focused on our goal and on developing our action plan. This plan lays out an ambitious set of 2-year actions to work towards zero traffic crash deaths and serious injuries. It is the result of hundreds of hours devoted to collecting and analyzing data, to mobility planning and engaging the community. We have examined our system holistically and from the perspectives of all users. We have been mindful of equity and factors that impact mobility options for residents in all of our neighborhoods. The Department of Public Service has spearheaded this effort. We have not done it alone. We are grateful to our city departments and our valued partners, including CODA, MORPC, ODOT, Columbus City Schools, Nationwide, and Ohio Health, and to many residents and community groups who have participated. I especially want to thank Maria Cantrell, who I don't think was able to be here this evening, our Vision Zero coordinator in our department. Our action plan builds on the city's ongoing efforts to improve safety on our transportation system. It embraces the Vision Zero principles to shift our approach towards slowing speeds and to accommodating every user with safe access along our city streets. Speed is recognized and prioritized as the fundamental factor in how severe a crash will be. Reducing how fast vehicles move will make a real difference towards saving lives. We will also focus safety efforts on the 10% of city streets where 65% of serious crashes occur. And we will be transparent and accountable in reporting the work we do and the progress we make. Our action plan is a living document to be continually updated as new data becomes available and as new strategies prove to be successful in making our streets safer. I encourage everyone to read the action plan and the strategies outlined for implementation over the next 2 years. You can see it at columbus.gov/Vision Zero. Vision Zero Columbus will not achieve our goal unless all of us are committed. It's personal for so many of us. I'm the mom of 2 teenage sons. One is a new driver and one has a little over a year's experience. Like you, I want my family members to come home safely every time they travel on our city streets. Human beings make mistakes when driving, biking, or walking, but a mistake shouldn't cost them their life. No matter where you live in our community or how you travel around it, Vision Zero Columbus is committed to your safety. All of us can play a part, starting with this action plan. Thank you, council members, for this opportunity and for considering this important life-saving legislation.
Thank you so much, Director Gallagher, and to the entire Vision Zero team. It's hard to believe that it's been a year that we've been on this journey, but I am grateful to have been a part of it. This was one of the first efforts in the COVID-19 world where we had to learn to think outside of the box and really think about how we could engage the community in a strategic yet safe way. So thank you to your team for being persistent and ensuring that we were hearing from all of our community members, not just the select few that would generally respond to surveys and things of that nature. I greatly appreciate that effort. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Yes, Councilmember Tyson.
Thank you, Councilman Favor. I am, first of all, I want to thank you for your work in moving this action plan forward. It is so important for our residents to feel safe as when they're walking or driving and trying to reduce deaths or serious illnesses. I also want to thank Director Gallagher and her team for moving this work forward. And I just look forward to, as you're moving this plan forward, the results to enhance the lives of our community members. Congratulations on this good work.
Thank you, Councilmember. Council President Harden.
Thank you, Councilmember, or Chair Favor. I had the honor of filling in for you last week for the hearing on Vision Zero. I thank you for that honor. I as council president, you can't really have a favorite department, but if I did, the work that comes out of public service, I really, really appreciate. But we got to hear from residents who talked about, who brought harrowing stories about losing neighbors because of speeds on streets, and just and hearing then from Mandy and Maria and all the folks who are working so hard, and our partners from Morpsey and CODA who are partnering with us. I'm just really excited about this work. Again, big kudos to Director Gallagher, who long ago has been a champion for Vision Zero. I will just end by saying this morning during the National League of Cities conference that many of us are participating in, I got the chance to meet with Secretary Buttigieg. And in our conversation with Secretary Buttigieg, we talked about our priorities here in Columbus. I told him that we were passing this tonight. He told us that this is one of his top priorities is supporting the work of Vision Zero across the country. He has an assistant secretary that was a director of public service in Minneapolis, who is advancing and who was in the front and center on this Vision Zero work. So I talked about you, Director Gallagher, the work that you're doing here. Certainly shouted out my colleagues, but we are on the right side of history, and we need to continue to lean in on Vision Zero. It's creating safer communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council President Harden, and thank you for filling in last week during the public hearing for Vision Zero. With that, I would move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson. President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. That is all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Environment Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Remy. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Council President Harden. Tonight I have one ordinance in the Environment Committee. It's Ordinance 449 2021 to authorize the Director of Public Service to establish a purchase order with Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio, aka SWACO, for landfill use by the Division of Infrastructure Management and the Division of Traffic Management to authorize the expenditure of $415,000 or so much thereof as may be needed from the Street Construction Maintenance and Repair Fund and to declare an emergency. The Division of Infrastructure Management is responsible for street cleaning in Columbus. Debris gathered as a result of street cleaning, brush clearing, and other street maintenance activities is dumped at the landfill operated by SWACO. The Division of Traffic Management has a need to dispose of traffic installation debris resulting from the installation of new traffic poles at the landfill operated by SWACO. The city is required to use SWACO waste disposal services due to an existing contractual relationship. This legislation authorizes the expenditure of up to $415,000 for tipping fees at SWACO's to accomplish this goal. Director Gallagher, could you provide any additional background information on this ordinance, please?
Thank you, President Harden, Chair Remy, members of council. You pretty much said everything I was going to say. Just that infrastructure management and traffic management, like you said, are constantly doing work around the city as far as signal work, intersection work, when we sweep the roads, when we're building the roadways, doing our alley work, cleaning brush, anytime they're doing that type of work and have work that they need to dispose of. This is where we take it to SWACO. This is the relationship we have, and this is to pay the tipping fees down at the SWACO landfill for us to remove that debris. So thank you so much for hearing this legislation this evening. That's all I have.
Thanks, Director Gallagher. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson. President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you, Council President Hart. May I proceed to the Administration Committee?
Sure.
All right. Tonight I have one item in the Administration Committee. This evening, ordinance number 518, 2021, to accept the Memorandum of Understanding 2020-06, executed between representatives of the City of Columbus and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME, Ohio Council 8, Local 1632, which creates the Maintenance Apprentice, Electrical, Electronic, and Maintenance Apprentice, Mechanical classifications, and to declare an emergency. Section 32.3 of the collective bargaining contract with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Ohio Council 8, Local 1632, in the City of Columbus, April 1st, 2017 through March 31st, 2020, requires that any modifications to the contract be agreed to by the parties. Memorandum of Understanding 2020-06 has been executed by the parties to amend Appendix A by creating the Maintenance Apprentice Electrical, Electronic, and Maintenance Apprentice Mechanical classifications to be used in various departments. The passage of this ordinance indicates City Council's acceptance of Memorandum of Understanding 2020-06, a copy of which is attached here. Emergency action is requested in order to allow for expedient implementation. Director Brandon, do you have any additional information you'd like to add about this particular ordinance?
Good evening, Chairman Remy, President Harden, and members of council. I don't have anything to add other than I appreciate the consideration of this memorandum of understanding, as it does create a pathway and some professional growth in these categories. It's something that public service, I believe, and public utilities will utilize to allow for training and apprenticeship in a specific classification, and then, hopefully progression, through that profession. So your favorable consideration of this is appreciated so we can begin that program.
Thank you, Director Brandon. Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
And finally, Council President Hart, would you like me to move into Health and Human Services? All right. So tonight I have Ordinance 387, 2021, to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a contract with the Community Shelter Board for the purpose of continuing the city's support for men, women, and families who are experiencing or at risk of experiencing homelessness in Columbus, to authorize the payment of expenses starting January 1st, 2021, to authorize the expenditure of $5,389,650 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. This legislation authorizes the Director of Department of Development to enter into contract with the Community Shelter Board in an amount up to $5,389,650 to administer 5 initiatives to address homelessness in the City of Columbus, and to authorize the payment of expenses starting January 1st, 2021. Prior to fiscal year 2020, the Director of Development had submitted 5 different ordinances to enter into 5 separate contracts, one for each initiative. In 2020, in order to increase efficiencies in payments and reporting, all programs are now managed under one single contract. This was proven to be more effective and efficient and will be the model moving forward. Community Shelter Board has and will continue to administer the following 5 initiatives to address homelessness in our community: continuum of care application, crisis response, outreach services, permanent supportive housing services, and the safety net program. These programs provide support for men, women, and families who are experiencing or at risk of experiencing homelessness in Columbus. The Community Shelter Board leads a coordinated community effort to make sure everyone has a place to call home. The CSB is the collective impact organization driving strategy, accountability, collaboration, and resources to achieve the best outcomes for people facing homelessness in Columbus and Franklin County. The Community Shelter Board will provide administration, oversight, and monitoring of the city's investment for each of these 5 initiatives. The city and the CSB are working together to effectively and efficiently help individuals and families resolve their housing crisis and maintain stability in permanent housing. I now would like to we do have Michelle Heritage. She's the Executive Director of the Community Shelter Board, here to share a few words. And so I would like to turn the floor over to you, Michelle. Good evening. Welcome to
Good
City Council.
evening. Thank you. Glad to be here. Good evening, Councilmember Remy, Council President Hardin, and all members of council. I am Michelle Heritage with Community Shelter Board, and we are deeply grateful for your strong investment in the homeless system, especially during this global pandemic. We understand you face multiple pressing priorities and community needs of significant value. And we thank you for entrusting us to lead a homeless system that ensures safe emergency shelter and housing services, as well as prevention services for Columbus citizens who truly need it and have nowhere else to turn. On behalf of the 14,000 people served through the programs and services in our network, we are grateful for your support. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have about this investment in our homeless crisis response system.
Thank you, Michelle. We appreciate your tireless work and helping to keep our most vulnerable in permanent housing. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening for Michelle? All right, Deputy Director Jones, do you have any additional comments you'd like to make?
No, we're just continuously grateful to have the Community Shelter Board at the table and willing to think innovatively, even in a time of crisis. They've really stepped up and helped us think about some creative programming to help us get to our most vulnerable residents. So we're grateful to have them with us.
Thank you, Deputy Director. All right, seeing no further questions or comments from my colleagues, I first move to remove it from the table.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorrance?
Yes.
Ms. Favor?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Tyson?
Abstain.
President Hardin?
Yes, ordinance passed.
And now I move for passage by voice.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorrance?
Yes.
Ms. Favor?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Tyson?
Abstain.
President Hardin?
Now ordinance is passed, yes.
And that is all I have this evening. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. It is now past 6:30. May I? I'm going to move to. Is there a second? Not adjourn, to recess.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin?
Council is in recess. Chair Tyson, you want to go straight into it? Let's roll.
Yes, I'm ready to go.
All right. Regular meeting number 10 will now come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin?
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin?
We will now go into the zoning committee. Councilmember Tyson chairs that committee. All members serve on it. Chair Tyson, the floor is yours.
Thank you. 1 second. Oh, so sorry. All right, so before beginning the zoning agenda, I'll briefly explain the rules of council as pertain to speaking before council on zonings and variances. We permit 3 speakers. 1 second. We permit 3 speakers, 4 or 3 proponents, 3 opponents, and we ask that they limit their remarks to 3 minutes on each side. And we provide an opportunity for rebuttal from the applicant. On the advice of the City Attorney's Office, anyone here who wishes to speak for or against a council variance, including staff, please must be sworn in prior to giving testimony. We do so prior to the beginning of the reading of each variance or on the agenda. Ordinance 464-2020 is to rezone 931 Hilliard and Rome Road, being 5.5 acres located on the east side of Hilliard and Rome Road, 850 feet south of Fisher Road from the R Rural District to the CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Skilton Gold Development, care of Ryan Hirschenrother. The proposed use is fuel cells, convenience store, and eating and drinking establishment. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the Far West Side Area Commission's recommendation is approval, 7-0. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. Anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against this council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will.
I will.
Thank you. Ordinance 468-2021 to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332.035 R3 permitted uses, 3312.49 minimum number of parking spaces required, 3332.01 area district lot width requirements, and 3332.13 R3 area district requirements, and 3332.26 minimum side yard permitted of the Columbus City Code for property located at 1662 and 1664 Bryden Road to permit a 3-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 residential district. The applicant is Laura House Architecture, care of Amy Laura Haas. The proposed use is a 3-unit dwelling. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the Near East Area Commission's recommendation is approval, 10-0. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
By voice.
By vote, by voice.
Yep. Clerk, please call the roll by voice. Sorry.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Dorans,
Yes.
Ms. Faber,
Abstain.
Mr. Remy,
Yes.
Ms. Tyson,
Yes.
President Harden.
Yes. Passed.
Thank you. And the final ordinance in zoning this evening is the variance. Anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against this council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. Ordinance 469 is to grant a variance from provisions of sections 3332.38H, private garage, 3332.25B, maximum side yards required, 3332.26E, minimum side yard permitted, and 3332.38G, private garage of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 1042 Yeager Street to permit habitable space above a detached garage with reduced development standards in the R2F residential district. The applicant is Molly McCartan, care of agent Donald A. Highlander. The proposed use is a habitable space above a detached garage. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the German Village Commission's recommendation is approval, 6-0. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. And that concludes the zoning agenda this evening.
I see no further business to come before the zoning committee. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
We stand adjourned. Council members, do we want to take a break or do we want to roll through these last three? All right, Councilmember Faber, who is going to close us out strong, said let's go. And Councilmember Brown is back. May I have a motion to reconvene regular meeting number 10 or number 9?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
We are reconvened. I think the next committee to come before council is the Rules and Reference Committee. I chair that committee. In this committee this evening, I'm going to turn the floor over to Councilmember Faber.
Thank you, Council President Harden. Up first, we have Ordinance 416-2021 to amend section 125.01 of the Columbus City Code to codify the city attorney's authority to waive potential conflicts of interest on behalf of the city of Columbus in matters pertaining to legal representation by special counsel, and to remove outdated hourly fees and payment methods for outside counsel retained when there is a conflict of interest in the office of the city attorney. I'd like to invite Assistant City Attorney Brian Shin to provide comments regarding this ordinance. Mr. Shin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilmember Favor, members of council. This ordinance will allow the city attorney's office to waive conflicts of interest when they are presented and with contracts with regard to special counsel that we bring in from time to time when we have need for legal advice that is beyond our expertise, or such as like we use special counsel, for example, for some of the collections work that we do, and sometimes with other situations that's beyond our expertise. One attorney in the firm may be providing the expert legal advice that we need, and at the same time, another attorney in the firm might be representing a party that has a legal matter against the city. We would use the rules of professional conduct from the Ohio Supreme Court to determine if that is a conflict of interest that could be waived, and then make that determination. This would be similar to how it works with the Ohio Attorney General's office. And the other portion of this ordinance allows us to update the fees for outside counsel. That portion of the ordinance has not been updated in many years. And of course, every contract would still require approval of counsel if it meets the financial threshold. I'm happy to answer any questions that any council members have.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Shin this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. The next set of ordinance I will read encompass the Housing for All legislative package. This legislation was crafted to provide additional protections for tenants and to encourage more affordable housing in the Columbus community. Since October 2020, I have engaged in a series of public hearings, meetings, and presentations with housing stakeholders across the community on the ordinances that I will read in just a few moments. I'd like to thank everyone who took the time out over the past several months to engage and provide critical feedback on this legislation. We are at a critical point in our city's housing crisis, and we must utilize every tool available to us to combat this problem. There are far too many vulnerable members of our community who are housing insecure. By advancing these protections, we will help ensure that every Columbus resident has access to a safe, decent, and affordable place to call home. I know that these policies alone will not solve our housing crisis, but they will help move us towards greater housing equity for all in our community. I will now read each of the ordinances, and I know that we have some speaker testimony on each of these pieces as well. The first ordinance is Ordinance 494-2021 to amend Chapter 4501 and Chapter 4551 of the Columbus City Codes, protecting a tenant from discrimination based on their source of income. Source of income discrimination occurs when a landlord refuses to rent a rent unit to a prospective tenant based on their source of income. The source of income legislation establishes protections for tenants in this space, making it illegal to discriminate against a tenant solely on their source of income in the city of Columbus. Although other sources of income include child support, alimony, Social Security benefits, disability, and many other categories, we know that this conversation has centered around the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Last year, Columbus City Council declared racism as a public health crisis. It is now our responsibility to combat racism through policy. Source of income discrimination is a proxy for race discrimination, with over 58% of the households using vouchers in Columbus being Black. We have to do more to protect every resident in our city, especially to those households of color subject to greater discrimination. This ordinance is designed to open up the doors to affordable housing for everyone in our city. I believe we have a few speakers tonight, and I'm going to get to the speaker slip list. Miss Angie, if you could help me out.
Absolutely. Councilmember Jeffrey Phillips is speaking first this evening.
Wonderful. Mr. Phillips, thank you for joining us this evening. Just a reminder, if you could state your name, and you have 3 minutes. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilwoman Faber. My name is Jeffrey Phillips. I'm president of the Highland West Civic Association, which is one of the neighborhoods on the Hilltop. We fully support these ordinances. Particularly tonight, I'm speaking on ordinance number 494-2021. We believe in the right of all individuals to live where they choose to, regardless of their sources of income, and to deny people housing based upon the use of a housing voucher constitutes no less than housing discrimination and should be prosecuted as such. This type of discrimination has been a major contributor to making Columbus one of the most income segregated cities in the country. But that is not the whole issue. The other issue is actual rent amount affordability, which is a problem that we must actually become a bit more creative in solving. We believe that there should be real affordable housing options in all areas of the city, not only in 2 or 3 neighborhoods that already have a severe overconcentration of poverty within them. We believe that true affordable housing options must be reinserted into those neighborhoods where it has been removed over the past decade, allowing people with vouchers who are dispossessed of their former housing, if they choose to be able to relocate back into those neighborhoods that are not only familiar to them, but in which many of their family members, friends, and other support systems still reside. We also hope that ending source of income discrimination may help people who have fallen through the cracks in the current housing voucher or housing choice voucher program. We believe that the CMHA, along with the city in partnership with HUD, need to commit to building 3 fully funded housing projects in good areas of the city to replace the former HUD housing that many had relied on, who now live on our streets, in our alleys, and in our city parks because they cannot find housing through the programs now available to them. Not everyone fits into the single-family housing model for various reasons, ranging from mental disability to past criminal convictions, which prevent them from finding a fresh start with good housing. And I think as a city, we do need to acknowledge that fact. We see this every day in Highland West and in the other neighborhoods on the Hilltop. Broken people, broken hopes, and broken dreams. Nowhere to go, and something needs to be done. These ordinances are a good start, but additional legislation by council to affirm the changes made to HUD policies in 2013 to ensure that the city and their supportive housing follow the guidelines which prevents overconcentration of poverty. We also hope that the city discontinues the practice of allowing housing developers to avoid the set-aside rule established earlier by council by buying their way out. Although we would like to see the legislation do more, it nevertheless is a starting point. And for that reason, the Highland West Civic Association supports not only 494, but also the other 2 as well. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips, for your advocacy this evening and your time. I also want to thank you for your service in the Highland West community. You also mentioned the city's incentive policy. I wanted to just uplift the work of the Department of Development, who is currently in the process of starting the review process of our incentive policy. That policy was put in place 3 years ago, and every 3 years, the city is to review said policy. And so the time is ripe for us to look at how we can further incentivize more affordable housing at a deeper level. So I share the sentiment that you also expressed this evening. Are there any questions by my colleagues for Mr. Phillips? Seeing none, Ms. Angie, do we have Ms. Amy Claben on the line?
Yes, I'm on the line.
Good evening, Ms. Claben. Welcome back to Council. Just a reminder, if you could state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'm Amy Claben. Good evening, City Council President Hardin, City Council Member Favor, and members of Columbus City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in favor of the ordinance to protect people from discrimination based on their source of income. I am speaking tonight as a volunteer with Building Welcoming Communities, a group of people throughout our region who want to create diverse, inclusive, equitable communities for everyone. We believe that this ordinance, sponsored by Councilwoman Favor, is critical to the residents of Columbus. Many people have income from Social Security, child support, alimony, or disability, veterans, or government housing programs. These sources of income allow people to afford the rent of units of their choice. Source of income ordinances are important because they allow all families and individuals the dignity to determine where they would like to live. In Columbus, voucher acceptance by landlords is in areas that align with historic redlining maps. This ordinance makes it possible for people to find housing that they can afford in neighborhoods that meet their needs, including resource-rich areas of the community. For example, the ordinance would open up housing opportunities in the northwest area of Columbus and many neighborhoods where landlords currently do not accept the types of income protected by the ordinance. Acceptance would impact thousands of households, many of whom are families with children. Accepting housing vouchers and other types of income creates affordable housing in areas which lack housing at affordable price points. Access to affordable housing increases job accessibility for low and middle income people and attracts a diverse labor force needed to provide basic services for our community. This is bad for businesses who suffer lost productivity and high turnover rates as they cannot attract a stable workforce. Access to affordable housing also reduces homelessness by decreasing barriers to acquiring housing. When landlords accept vouchers, it increases opportunities to create affordable housing, which is needed throughout all of Central Ohio. An article sponsored by Zillow recently stated that to ensure that every qualified renter has an equal chance at renting, a growing number of governments at every level are enacting laws to ban discrimination against renters, including those who rely on vouchers to pay their rent. Zillow encourages all landlords to look beyond the law and treat all applicants without prejudice. However, the government needs to pass these protections, as most, but not all landlords treat all applicants without prejudice. To date, 9 cities in Ohio have adopted source of income protections. They are among the approximately 100 cities throughout the country, 18 states, and the District of Columbia that have already acted. Research shows that source of income laws make a difference. One HUD study tracked 5 cities' voucher denial rates. In cities without these protections, they were exorbitant, topping 78%. But in cities with these protections, the denial rates plummeted, reaching as low as 15%. We thank the City of Columbus and Councilman Favor for all of your work towards supporting this important initiative. We look forward to its passage and implementation as we address unjust structural barriers in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Claben, and I believe I speak for everyone this evening that we truly appreciate your continued advocacy in the housing space around Central Ohio. And last but certainly not least, we have Ms. Michelle Heritage.
I'm back. Good evening, Housing Chair Favor, Council President Hardin, and members of council. My name is Michelle Heritage, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Board of Directors and members of the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio. We are here to express our support for the Housing for All package and to share our thanks for your leadership and foresight in adopting these important protections for the Columbus community. The Alliance's membership is composed of specialists from across the housing system, including homeless system experts like myself, housing counselors and tenant advocates, community lending institutions and landlords that own properties across the nation, including 10,000 rental home units here in Ohio. This diversity of perspective means we must balance a wide variety of considerations and often competing interests when determining whether a policy proposal is in the best interest of the Central Ohio community we collectively serve. As such, we are pleased to observe an engagement process for the Housing for All package that in many ways mimicked our own internal discussions, one marked by respectful public deliberation and the incorporation of constructive feedback into the final legislative product. As a result of this inclusive process, we're pleased to see the ordinances evolved over the last few months to be stronger and more tailored to our local needs. At the end of the day, each of these rules substantially advances tenants' rights without hindering the legitimate business needs of property owners. We recognize these measures are targeted response to Central Ohio's 54,000 household affordability gap, a challenge that blocks too many people from safe housing simply because they're unable to pay a large security deposit. We also welcome the family-centered approach taken in the source of income ordinance, which ensures that tenants who can afford rent have access to any neighborhood that fits their family's unique needs. This source of income protection is also a smart economic development move for our region that will help close the divide between where workers are able to live and where jobs are located. And finally, we applaud the rental receipt legislation that democratizes access to information and makes sure that no individual is wrongly evicted because they were denied the ability to prove what they already paid. Each of these protections helps Columbus take an important step toward a fairer, more equitable housing system while laying the necessary foundation for additional progress around affordable housing. In the hope that these proposals receive your approval, we embark on the education and implementation process. Please consider the Alliance a resource and an ally in your work. Thank you again. We look forward to continued collaboration in meeting our community's affordable housing needs.
Thank you so much, Ms. Heritage, also for your continued support for our housing as a leader in the housing space, in Columbus. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I would move for passage.
Second.
Councilmember Favor, I will speak in general about the work that you've done on this legislative package, but on this piece in particular, thank you. Thank you to the folks that have spoken up this evening, to Ms. Claiborne, to Michelle Heritage. This is making it easier and better for our community to keep roofs over folks' heads. And so just thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Up next, we have Ordinance 495-2021 to amend Chapter 4551 of the Columbus City Code, providing operators and tenants with rental security deposit payment alternatives. The security deposit can be another barrier to achieving affordable housing, particularly because of high upfront move-in costs. The Renter's Choice legislation provides choice and optionality for tenants by allowing them to choose to pay their security deposit in full, in installments over 6 months, or installments over 3 months. This legislation does not prohibit landlords and tenants from working together to decide on security deposit alternatives, such as insurance or other products. Over the next few months, we will discuss additional protections for landlords in regards to this ordinance, including a risk mitigation fund for landlords to utilize in the case that a tenant chooses an installment plan and breaks their lease prior to completing the security deposit payments. I believe we have 2 speakers tonight for this legislation. Ms. Angie, do we have Rachel, and I apologize, Winning on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to council. And just a reminder, if you could state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Rachel Wenning, and I'm the chair of the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. I'll be reading a letter from the commission in support of ordinances 0494, 0495, and 0496. Council President Hardin, President Pro Tem Brown, and council, the Greater Hilltop Area Commission represents 40,000 plus Columbus residents, many of whom are renters. As you are well aware, a lack of affordable and available housing is a significant hurdle for Hilltop renters who are seeking housing. The average income of a Hilltop resident is lower than that of many of our other neighborhoods, and so policy changes to assist lower income renters will have marked impacts on our residents. The proposed Housing for All package of legislation before council this evening will help renters to find housing more quickly, to more easily take possession, and to protect themselves when they need to prove they paid their rent. Ms. Favor and staff have been assisted by many local leaders, organizations, and property managers in developing this legislation. There has been robust discussion on the barriers to finding housing in Columbus, how we can lower those barriers, and how we can make changes that help everyone involved in rental housing transactions. As we enter a period of projected rapid population growth in our city, it is imperative that we make housing accessible and affordable for everyone. This package of legislation will move us toward that goal, and the Greater Hilltop Area Commission supports these ordinances and requests the council vote to approve these measures. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your advocacy this evening, and thank you for the work that you do on with the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. Up next, we have Ms. Anna Maria Perales-Lang.
Sorry, council member. It seems she is no longer in attendance.
Thank you so much, Ms. Angie. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I would move for passage.
By voice.
By voice, my apologies, by voice.
Second.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorans?
Yes.
Ms. Favor?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Tyson?
Abstain.
President Hart?
Yes, ordinance is passed.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have Ordinance 496-2021 to amend Chapter 4551 of Columbus City Codes, requiring operators to provide tenants with a written receipt for any security deposit and for all rental payments. This policy simply requires that a landlord provide a tenant with a receipt following the payment of rent. Many landlords already implement this practice, particularly for tenants that pay through electronic methods. However, this piece targets those that pay rent in cash or with a money order. A number of low-income tenants are unbanked and without access to electronic payment methods, and this policy provides protection for them when they are required to prove that their rent was paid on time. We are familiar with stories from our partners that assist in mediation at eviction court that some tenants are unable to show that rent was paid. This policy will ultimately protect both tenants and landlords in this scenario. And before I move for passage, I just want to take a moment to thank my team for all of their hard work. This was it was more than a notion when we set out to pass this package, but we wanted to get it right. And so it was very important for me to ensure that we were engaging our stakeholders as much as possible, hearing their concerns. And so there were many iterations of the legislation. And so I want to thank those who took time out of their schedules to meet with myself and my team. And then to my team specifically, I would love to acknowledge Andrew Dyer with our Legislative Research Office. Tynesha Harden and Anissa Lieben for your tireless effort in ensuring that the vision for housing for all came to fruition. Thank you so much. And with that, and I apologize, are there any questions or comments by my colleagues?
Chair Favor, if I could make a quick comment.
Absolutely.
Just want to compliment you and your team. You know, all of this legislation, you have been laser focused on figuring out a way to bring this with a coalition of council and trying to you know, really address all of the concerns from all of the different parties that engage in the legislation. And Columbus is going to be a better place for having enacted this legislation. I know your commitment to this issue does not end tonight. This is not even a starting or midpoint on the journey that you're helping this body take on as it relates to affordable housing. So I just want to pause briefly and acknowledge that before we pass this final piece of legislation. So congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you, Councilmember Dorrance. And with that, I move for passage.
Second.
I can't add much more than what Councilmember Dorrance just said. Just kudos to the team. And thank you for shouting out Andrew Dyer from LRO. I know he was a huge help. He briefed all of us on council members on this package. But certainly to you, Chair Favor, we appreciate it and we look forward to being by your side or following your lead as you continue to move and advance more housing reform for our city. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed. Yay, congratulations.
Thank you so much. That's all that I have this evening.
Seeing no further business to come before this body, may I move to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. We have one non-agenda speaker.